Hi, everyone. Welcome to our 30-minute lunchtime boost. We hope these have been a bright spot in your day. We're coming to you every Wednesday and Friday in June. I'm your host, Jen Maseda, the CEO of She's Local, where we bring you local conferences with local women and now local women in digital live engagement opportunities. We are all about connecting, inspiring, and lifting women along whatever path they choose. And on today's boost, we are talking with Dolores Hirschmann. Dolores is an internationally recognized strategist, coach, speaker, and virtual business owner for the last 20 years. She's also the founder of Masters in Clarity, a strategy and coaching company that helps clients clarify their message and implement virtual business growth systems, which, Dolores, this is very timely. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So we're in the midst of a great opportunity, let's frame it that way, right? To truly lead, and we're likely experiencing something that we may never experience again. So how can we as leaders, and we have business owners, we've got entrepreneurs, we've got corporate executives, we've got nonprofit executives, how can we as leaders be more clear in our messaging for our customers, for ourselves, and for our employees?
Yes, thank you, Jen. And so, so we at Masters in Clarity are all about clarity, and I believe clarity is kindness. I come to this work from a place of my background as an entrepreneur and a business owner. I have been starting and owning businesses for many, many years. And in some ways, it was how I designed and decided the kind of mother I wanted to be. So I'm a mother of four, and I work full time until one day I said, I really want to be a full-time mom, but I love working. And I chose entrepreneurship as my path. But then in that middle process, I started to ask myself, well, what else do I want to bring forth in this life? And I stumbled on coaching, which was something I didn't even know existed, this is about 10 years ago. And I became an ICF accredited coach, and I became kind of a life coach. And then I've merged at Masters in Clarity, we've merged that background on entrepreneurship and business with life coaching. And what we do right now is we help people clarify who they are, what they stand up for, and bring that work into the market. And Jen and I were like checking in on, okay, what is relevant to talk about in these times? And what I shared with her is that everything in our world has changed. And we can resist all we want. For some, a bad thing for others, but it is what it is. And the more we resist it, the more pain we're going to suffer, the more pain we're going to inflict in those around us. So a lot of the work that I've where we acknowledge the feeling, because that's not ignore how we're feeling. We are all in this place of fear, uncertainty, disruption. So you have to give space for that. But the other part of the conversation is, okay, I give space for this, but at the same time, I have a responsibility to show up for my work and my people. And so how can you today be in that leadership role, whether you're the leader of your household, the leader of a small team, or just a solopreneur who you have clients looking up to you, you're still someone's role model, right? And so how can you walk those shoes with both vulnerability and clarity and assertiveness at the same time? So that's what we're talking about, right, Jen?
That's right, yes.
And so one of the things here is, the beginning of it is your own personal clarity and understanding where you stand, and kind of the redesign of, okay, in this world that has changed, where do I add value? In Masters in Clarity, when this began, I literally met with my team and we said, okay, let's get really real. And I asked two questions. One is, I want each one of you, and I did it for myself as well, to do an old-fashioned, if any of you went to business school or has done this kind of work, but it's very simple. We did the simple SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. It's like you do a table with 4 boxes and you just put those words there. And I asked my team to do a SWOT analysis for themselves. Like, what are they really good at? Which maybe I don't even know that they're good at. What are you scared of, or what is threatening you? What are things that are not your strengths? And the world right. The things that we came out with was that, whether we're conscious of it or not, I've been running virtual businesses for over 20 years. And I chose to run virtual businesses because my first job in 1998 was remote, because the company, the nonprofit, was in New York City, and they wanted me to run their program. And I lived in babies. And I would go to New York. Doing what now everybody was forced to do, and they were losing their how to run remote companies. And our immediate reaction was, we pulled everything we knew. I did some videos, my team did some videos as well. We showed people tools like Zoom. How do you do a Zoom? Of content and library, and we gave it for free to the world for a week. And I think then we sold it for like $5. I think we're still selling for something like that, or pay what you can. So what I'm sharing with you guys is that this is the time when we kind of get really real of what are the things that we are really good at and that the world can benefit from right now, and then see what can you build with those 2 elements. What are you really good at, and what does the world need right now? And then you bring that forth into the world. But here's the thing: you will be taking imperfect action when you do this. And at the core of all of the work I've ever done has been the capacity to listen to the fears and the self-doubt and take action anyway. And in the COVID, I kind of, for a day, I stopped. Was like, no, this is too fast. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be. And then I would get another call from a crying girlfriend of mine. I'm from Argentina, who said, and Latin America is 5 years behind on virtual working, not because they don't have the tools, because the tools are available worldwide, but mindset-wise, they just don't see how that's possible. So I would start the self-doubt, like, oh, I should, let's just add this video or tweak that video, or my hair was not right, or whatever. And then I would get another crying call from one of my girlfriends, and I said, I don't have time to be perfect. Because if I take a lot of time to be perfect and delay this action, all these people I'm not gonna be able to help all these people. And so in whatever role you play, if you're in this call right now, it's because there's something that you do that helps someone. And this is the time, and in that way, there's a huge opportunity. This is a very forgiving time to just turn up the volume and serve. And again, you may make money, you may not make money. My billing is way down. That's okay. But I've been doing these kinds of interviews 1, 2, or 3 a day on a consistent basis for the last 2 months. And every time I know I'm doing one of these, I'm not selling, I'm just serving. Because I know that this is the time to bring all your brilliance out into the world. And with time, this will pay off. It's an amazing, amazing moment for positioning, because it's an amazing moment for you to be seen for the work that you can do.
We talk a lot about giving and serving for She's Local and the work that we do, and on these boosts as well. You know, SWOT analysis, that's a fairly rigorous, you know, time-consuming, but also really brings out things, as you say, you wouldn't know about yourself and potentially your team, and taking the time to do that is critically important. What are some other tips that you can share, specific actions that would be helpful in these times?
Yeah, communication. This is a moment where you want to be really close to your market and your clients. This is a moment where if you weren't doing a newsletter, let me give you an example. So we do newsletters, we do it weekly, we have a marketing content map, and every week there's a topic. It's very pretty and organized. Well, March 13, I told my team, throw that away. We're not touching that content plan because it's not business as usual. And so every single week, because, you know, if Monday the world looks like this, and then by Friday when the newsletter needs to go out, the world looks like that. So whatever I write on Monday is not going to be like, it's just everything's so fast. So I committed to writing the content, my newsletters on Wednesday or Thursday, and they are letters to my people. They're not articles. They're not research pieces. They're just observations, insights, experiences, tips. I learned from a client that there's a resource. I'll share it. So this is a time that you want to be very, very close with your stakeholders or the people that you care about, whether it's newsletters or social media, or however it is that you are close. Be close and unscripted, which is a weird thing for me to say. I'm a TEDx speaker coach. I write a lot of talks, but in the work that I do, I always want the voice of my clients to be heard loud and clear, with an organized flow of content, if you want, or in an organized way. But I want their essence to show. Well, this is a moment to show your essence and to be respectful and open to share your point of view, and also respectful and open to listen to other people's point of view. Whether it's in social media, engage with kindness, but clarity of your values and what you stand for.
So when you're talking about clarity of values, you're also talking about clarity of mission. So, you know, over the last, probably since March, there have been these constant critical community, they're not issues. They're just things that have been brought up and are really important for us as business leaders, and as leaders in the community, to be clear in our message. So can you give us some examples of how we would think about crafting that message? Because crises, it's not in the past, it's definitely going to be in the future. We'll have more things that we'll need to create messages about and be really clear. We have a great team at She's Local and Communication who was really thoughtful about how we would express our support of our community in the past few weeks. So can you share some strategies that would be helpful in crafting a message, specific thoughts and actions to get that clarity?
Yeah, and so let's just be very straightforward in what we're talking about, Jen. Is that we're talking about the protests, and there's been protests, there's been riots, there's been, you know, the George Floyd case. I've brought a whole conversation. It's not that it wasn't there. It's just brought it to the forefront and brought it to our kitchen table, literally. It brought it to my kitchen table. It brought it to our conversation with our teams. And so it is an interesting, because it's each one of us will experience that this moment, this historical moment in the world, it's not that just the US, from our filters, because we have to acknowledge that all of us have filters, and we can't judge other people's filters or our own filters, because we're humans, and the only way we can look at the world is from my eyes. Like literally, I have myopia and whatever. So how I see you guys is just how I physically can see you. Like, Jen, you look beautiful, but I can't really see all of you because my eyes are not that good, and I can't be judged for that. It's just how my body is. So that's just a metaphor. Is that however people see the world, it's not for us to correct it. It's only for us to hear it, to respectfully listen, and for us to share how we see the world. The truth is that there's no room for judgment, there's no room for hatred, and there's no room for anger, depending on the position. But there's room for standing up clearly for what you believe is possible for all of us as a humankind, and what is the design that you want in the world you want to live in. And just verbalizing that, I can't stress it enough, with kindness and respect. One of the things I teach 100 times a day, mostly when I'm teaching speakers, specifically TEDx speakers, but I also teach it when I teach marketing or blog writing, is that the first step of any piece of communication is step one is meet the audience where they are. And that can be the best thing that you do if you're posting something in social media, is open, instead of making a statement, before you make a statement, ask questions, listen, and listen to the response before you bring in your point of view. Because your point of view is important to you, but it's more important for all of us to share each other's points of view. And if you listen and you ask questions and you listen, eventually someone will get curious and ask you questions, and will listen to you too.
All right, so we're at the point in our Boost episode where we open up to questions. So if you do have a question, please go down to the bottom of your screen. You'll see a reaction icon. Just click us clappy hands or a thumbs up, and we'll come right to you. I'll unmute you, and you can ask your question to Dolores, and we'll get going. Anybody have a question that they want to share, or some tips that they are using that is really getting them through? This is about going virtual from a service industry as well. So if you have specific questions about that, that's what we're here for. I told you, Dolores, the first one is always.
So let me just share. So
okay.
One of the things that, I mean, how many of you, just raise your hand like this, the actual physical hand. How many of you are solopreneurs? Go in the service industry. And can someone share one challenge you're having right now? Because I love life coaching. So just what is not working in your business right now? Lisa.
Wendy, you're laughing. Wendy, I see you. Lisa, go ahead.
So I think one of the things that I'm certainly struggling with, and I think a lot of people that I'm talking to are struggling with, is not wanting to reach out and sell services and trying to build relationships during this time, because we know and we assume everybody's really busy and really consumed with everything that's going on in the world. So I guess my question for you, and maybe it's a gender question too, is are we stepping back too much as women to give people space, and is that going to be a problem in the long run?
So it may or may not be a gender issue. I have men that feel the same way. I think there was a moment that is true. I think mid-March, the first month maybe, was absolutely true, because it almost felt like we were all in a plane and it crashed, and we're in triage. And so absolutely, I think that was just the truth. I think we've normalized the pandemic, meaning that we now have figured out how to cook, or where kids kind of have figured out to go to school or not. I don't know what they're doing, they're teenagers. I think we are now, I think the world has gone back to business. And I think it's the question I would ask is, what are you afraid of? And anybody who's challenged by this, what are you afraid of if you bring forth the work and the help you can provide? It is possible that the numbers have changed. It depends on your market. Like in my business, we've been busier than ever, but we've also been acknowledging that not everybody has the same budget, so we've been adapting some things. So I think it's time to go back full force. This summer is going to be different. Usually for some of us, summer can be slower, or we choose to make it slower. It may still be that, but it's going to be a weird summer. And so I would say here's the thing. If you are called to help, then just show up. And you know, and I know that whatever is free has no value. So
except for the boost.
Well, no, this has value. Yes. No, it's not. It's not free. You guys have to take up an hour. But if you have to adapt your prices or be a little bit flexible, do that. But I would say, Lisa, just get on the phone and get people to realize that they don't have to stay in pain if you can help them.
That was a great question, Lisa. Maybe another question is, what are you afraid of? If anybody wants to take a stab at that. Rebecca, I saw your hand up. You're unmuted. Go ahead, hon.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just going to leap on to that other question about if it's free, it's not of value, because I think there have been so many webinars and free information out there. And it's just mind-boggling. I mean, you could watch free business webinars all, from like morning to night. And so I think that's a really tricky one. I have a feeling that's going to start to change. And I think perhaps the only time something should be free is if it is something so that people get to know you and get to know your offering. And then you're very crystal clear about what it is that you're offering so that they can choose to work with you if they want.
Absolutely. And just to use this example, this is my free time because I want you guys to know about my work and about what I do. And what people are paying for, because they understand that, is they're paying for high touch. Let me give you an example.
That's a good
one. I have a couple of clients, but one in particular in California. These are partners. They have a beautiful yoga studio and they're $1 million business. And of course, when this happened, they called me. I'll never forget it. It was a Sunday and it was in March. So it was still cold and maybe snowy. And I never get calls from my clients on Sundays. I just don't, because part of it, I teach my clients to run a business that they love to work in, which means they don't work on weekends. So if they don't work on weekends, I don't work on weekends. But anyway, I get a call on a Sunday and they're like freaking out because they're going to be closed. And I said, well, you probably have a week, so let's do this. And then they call me on Tuesday. It's like, no, we didn't have a week. Like, they closed us. So we had to pivot again. And so they are yoga class. And they're like, why would people continue paying $100 and something a month to a yoga studio that they can't go to? And I said, because they want to do yoga with you. Because they know that if they go to the free class on YouTube, A, they may have ads, but B, they might make a move that hurts their back. It happened to be that 60% of their clients are women or people over 50, which, you have to be a little bit more careful, and you can't just do a hot yoga that you don't know anything about, because you can make a move and hurt yourself, or any exercise for that matter. And so I said, because they want to work with you, so let's create an experience that continues that high touch that they feel with you. And maybe we add some stuff, maybe we add meditation, we add things that are relevant to the times and what their pain point, but let's create an experience that is high touch. So the beautiful story is that they're reopening on Monday. And the best part of it is that as they are reopening, they're excited because A, they were able to keep at least 80% of their monthly paying clients. And B, now that they're reopening, they realize, oh my God, we were just forced to start a new business. So when they reopen, they're gonna have 2 businesses. And the virtual business, and they're equipping the studio so they can continue teaching live on like virtually. So the virtual business has no boundaries. They don't have to stay with people in Orange County, California.
Okay, anyone else have a question?
Yeah.
Shannon says she agrees with you 100%. She's also seeing that with her. Shannon, you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. No, I could not agree more. I think some of the gifts out of this time is that people are coming up with creative ways to reach their clients, and they're also doing it a little bit more heart-centered. So even a dental office, I work in social media, so even a dentist office can be sharing posts about how personally it's affecting their dental hygienist who maybe have a son who's a doctor in Texas and they're making masks, or they're delivering food to people, or I just see it's allowing businesses to show up in a much more personal way and connect with people in the way that they always should have been connecting, but we all get lazy, right? So I think I couldn't agree more with everything you've said.
Thank you, Shannon. And I mean, it's strange times. I have a client who's a sales expert to home furnishing companies. And I was literally on a call with her just now, and she was telling me how one of her clients, May, had been a record sales month in the history of the company. And they're selling sofas. And I said, I'm not surprised because I've been looking at my sofa for a month and I haven't had time to shop. Otherwise I would have thrown it away and bought a new one virtually without sitting on it. But who would have thought that the moment when we can't leave our house, you would sell more sofas where people are not testing. So it is an amazing, amazing time to throw all of what I call the kind of holy cows, like the beliefs and the assumptions that we have around everything that we do, and say, I can't do this. Why can't I? Like everything you couldn't do, and that in February or January we said this will never happen. It all happened. Everything happened in March, and so there's literally nothing that you can think of that if you say I can't do that, then just shift that statement and say, how can I do that? Whenever you find yourself or your children or anybody that say, no, I can't do that, you just simply shift and say, how can I do this? And there's going to be an answer.
Yeah.
It will look different, but that doesn't mean you can't do it.
And as you've been talking, I've been thinking about everyone who, oh, thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca just left a note. I've been thinking about, all the plans that we've worked hard to create, 5-year plans, 10-year plans. At this point in our work, as you say, you just sort of have to put them aside and create something that is timely right now. Is that accurate?
Yes, absolutely. And this is where the beautiful part is that in coaching, there's a term called dancing in the moment. And the truth is that this is time to dance in the moment, to take action without perfection, and to ignore anybody or don't even be afraid of being judged, because if you're taking action, you're better than most. And anybody that judges you, just check in who they are, because they're probably not taking action, so therefore they don't have a voice. If you're not in the ring with me, as Brené Brown and Roosevelt said, you're not in the ring and you're not fighting the lions, you don't have a say in what I do or not do.
Amen, sister. All right, perfect. Thank you, Dolores.
Thank you for having me. And if you guys want to learn more about Masters in Clarity, I'll just leave the link there. It's, the way we serve is hop on a call with us. Visit our websites and schedule a call.
As always, you've gifted us with your insights and your knowledge and your time, and we're eternally grateful. So really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for joining us. We will be back on Friday, so be sure to check it out. We're talking about clean living, which should be very interesting, and some more South Shore folks on Friday's call. So, and Dolores is also from South Shore, and is going to be at the South Shore Conference for Women. So
I was just going to say, I will look forward to dancing with you guys the night before the conference in person. So I'll put my dancing shoes.
Well, we might be dancing virtually, so just keep those dancing shoes close by. All right, guys, have a great day, and we'll see you on the next Boost. Thanks for joining us.